I wanted to show you how these general ledger problems work on Connect. This is Chapter 2, Problem 1, and it tells you that it's based on the transactions for Fast Forward in your text. It tells you to prepare journal entries for each of the transactions and then identify the financial statement impact. Of each entry, the financial statements are automatically generated based on the journal entries recorded. So what you'll see is up here all of the, I scrolled too fast, all of your transactions, and then here you're going to see your general journal, your general ledger, all these different tabs that will be filled in as you go along. And down here it explains to you for each transaction, prepare the required journal entry, list debits before credits. And then what's going to happen is that you're going to see, if you click to the other tabs, that each one is being updated as you go along, except for the last one. That one you have to do yourself. So let's click next. And what will happen is you will see each one of the transactions here in this part. This is the same as the other problems that you'll do in Connect. It just will update them in, all of the other pages as well. So let's go through and do them. I'm going to do all of them, and I will probably make a mistake or two so that you can see how it will affect the trial balance, the income statement, etc. But I'll tell you which ones I'm making the mistake on. So on December 1st, Chaz Taylor forms a consulting business named Fast Forward, receives $30,000 cash from Chaz Taylor as an owner contribution. So you can either type it in or you can use the drop down boxes. It tends to mess with me when I just type it in, so I will use the drop down boxes. Cash is the first thing. Cash is your asset. It's increasing, and so we will record that on the debit side. I didn't have my numlock button clicked, and so it got cranky with me. And the credit then is going to be, it should be C. Taylor Capital, and it's again $30,000. Record your entry. The next one, number 2, on December 2nd, Fast Forward pays $2,500 cash for supplies. Company's policy is to record all prepaid expenses in asset accounts. They're buying supplies, so supplies will increase by $2,500. It's an asset, so it increases on the debit side. And they're paying cash, so your cash is also an asset, but it is decreasing because you're paying it, so it gets recorded on the credit side. And record your entry. On December 3rd, Fast Forward pays $26,000 cash for equipment. Equipment is, again, an asset, $26,000, and paid cash for it, $26,000 credited. Record your entry. On December 4th, Fast Forward purchases $7,100 of supplies on credit from a supplier, Caltech Company. When you see the words on credit, that should be a key to you, a signal that you're either going to use accounts receivable or accounts payable. Since they're buying the stuff and they will pay for it later, it will be accounts payable. But the first thing we'll do is the debit, which is supplies, because supplies are increasing. And the liability will be accounts payable. $7,100, also increasing. Record your entry. On December 5th, Fast Forward provides consulting services and immediately collects $4,200 cash. So cash went up, they got it, they collected it, $4,200, and I think it's consulting revenue. $4,200. Revenue is what we call the money they earn by doing the work that they do. Record the entry. On December 6th, Fast Forward pays cash for December rent. So let's do this one wrong. Let's debit cash for $1,000 and credit rent expense. I think it's rental expense. And record it. And now before we do anything else, let's go back here and look at our general ledger. And you will see that under cash, we just debited cash for $1,000. And we have rent expense is a negative. That's incorrect. You can't have negative expense. Well, it would be very weird to have a negative expense. So let's go back to the general journal. And these are all the things that we've done. View the transactions list. Which one was this? The 6th? And let's fix this. Debit our rent expense and credit the cash and record that entry. Now, if we go back to the general ledger, we see the $1,000 deducted and the rent has a balance of $1,000. I'm going to click previous and previous and next, and I guess we want the 7th. Excuse me. On December 7th, Fast Forward pays cash for employee salary. So again, this is an expense. Salary expense. If you're not sure of what the account is, one of the good things about Connect is you can scroll until you find it. And credit cash. $700 because they're paying it. Record the entry. On December 9th, provide consulting services and rents the test facilities and bills the customer. Now if you see that, that means we didn't get the money yet. So it's going to be receivable, $1,900. Separate your two revenues. Consulting revenue is 16. And remember, we increase revenue on the credit side. And would that be some sort of revenue? Rental revenue for 300. Receives cash from the client billed. So you know cash goes up by $1,900. And it helps if you type it in. And the other side of it is going to be accounts receivable. We sent the company sent a bill and got paid. And again, if you go to your general ledger, you can see accounts receivable had a debit balance of $1,900. Just got the money, so it's got a zero balance. And let's go back to our general journal. View the transactions. On the 10th, pays cash as partial payment for the purchase of supplies. That was accounts payable. Accounts payable will be debited $900 to reduce that amount that they owe. Credit cash for $900. Record the entry. On December 11th, Chaz Taylor withdraws $200. That would be C. Taylor withdrawals $200. Credit cash $200. Record your entry. Don't forget to record your entry. On December 12th, Fast Forward receives $3,000 cash in advance of providing consulting services to a customer. They have not done the work yet, so it isn't earned yet. It is unearned consulting revenue. However, they got the cash, and so I just did this backwards. And I didn't do it backwards on purpose. I did it backwards because I wasn't thinking. So what I'm going to do is go back and fix it. Unearned revenue is a liability. And what I was thinking. Pays cash insurance premium for a 24-month policy. Prepaid insurance, $2,400, and credit cash, $2,400. Record the entry. Pays cash for supplies, again, increase supplies, $120. Credit cash, $120. Pays cash for utilities. Utilities expense, $305. Credit cash, $305. If you're not sure what your debit should be, you know that cash is being paid out will be a credit, so the other side has to be the debit. Again, pays employee salaries. Salaries expense, $700. Credit cash, $700. One more. Oh, we're all done. We're all done. Okay. I'm going to click done. And then we see all of our journal entries here. Next, these are the ledger accounts. You could click on any one of them to go to the journal entry. So if you go there, it'll show you that's where that came from. And then just X out. The next tab is your trial balance. And again, you can click on any one of them and it will take you to the underlying journal entry in the ledger it came from, which I think you can see here. And you can see that it balances. Next is the income statement. We have our two revenues, we have expenses, and we have net income. And it asks you to fill this in. Net income or loss is transferred to, I have to scroll up here, it doesn't want to cooperate. Statement of owner's equity. Next. Ending capital is transferred to the balance sheet. And here we will see the balance sheet and see, does it balance? Balance in the capital account comes from statement of owner's equity. And this one, I'm not terribly concerned that you actually do these. It asks you what would be the effect of each transaction on the financial statements. Where can you go to find each of your answers? On December 1st, fast forward, received cash. That doesn't affect your income. It does increase your assets. It does increase your total equity. These parts I'm going to say, I'm going to leave as optional for you to do. If you do them, it will be good. If you don't, I will make sure your points are adjusted accordingly. And this is really what the general ledger problems look like. So hopefully you can do them and they will help you to understand how everything works together.